With Hound, I save time swiping and typing just by using my voice and saying, okay, now, show me how to get from Union Square to Golden Gate Bridge. Whether I'm searching for directions, the latest news, listening to music, or getting a fun fact, Hound has me covered. And using Hound is like having a conversation. No more speaking in keywords. I can just talk. What's the weather like in Napa this weekend? Hound follows along, like I'm talking to a person. Show me Italian restaurants there that are open past 9 p.m. If I'm thinking about taking a trip, Hound makes it easy to find a great hotel. I can be as specific as I want. Show me 4 or 5-star hotels in Seattle for 3 nights, starting on Friday between $150 and $250 a night.
So you can keep going down.
In the gym, there are bed and breakfasts. Those are great. How do you help me do so many things? Check on my flight, send a text to a friend, translate words or phrases, find that song that's been stuck in my head just by humming. I can even calculate the mortgage on my dream home. And after all that, when I finally have some downtime, okay now, let's play blackjack. That's how. Say it, get it.
So it doesn't tie in with all the rest of the phone, but it really does do, I mean, it's not like it's Siri where it's going to do other things, but as far as search, it's incredible. So I'll show you here. Find hotels in South Lake Tahoe on April 12th under Find hotels in South Lake Tahoe under $200 on April 12th.
Showing 10 results with availability near South Lake Tahoe for Tuesday, April 12th for maximum of $200 US per night.
That have a pool.
Okay, showing 10 results that have a swimming pool.
So it's called Hound and it's free. All right, so. I paid extra when I got my Mac. It's a little app called Highlight. And when I'm doing demos, it works really, or when I'm trying to show things, it works really well. I just turn it on or turn it off. Boom. Okay, so we're gonna do a new thing here. Some of you know that I had some stents put in my heart back in October, and it's wonderful. I mean, I'm better than I was before. So I feel these little quirky little things here every so often. And doctor says it's normal, and you know I'm not a hypochondriac, but I just like to know what goes on. So I have my Bluetooth blood pressure from Withings that takes my blood pressure for me, and it charts it on my iPhone. I don't have to worry about blood sugars anymore, but I can take my blood sugar and it just does it, and it charts it on the phone. My Bluetooth scale, I can't cheat because it does my weight on there like it's supposed to, but I was intrigued by this because I saw, if you see on the left here, this called Cardia, and they're coming out with an EKG that'll be on the band of the watch band, but they currently have for $99 this one where you hold for 30 seconds your fingers up to it, and it does an EKG. The first one it does, I'm like, got it, and I'm going, okay, I want to use it, and I used it, and it says, well, we'll give you the result after we send it to a doctor. We'll respond within 24 hours. And I'm like, man, I'm into instant gratification. I want to know what it is. So I want to know if I'm going to die tomorrow or if I'm doing okay. And so they got it back. It says everything's fine. They do the first analysis on it like that. And now every time I do it on the phone, it gives me an EKG right away. So I'll show you this little video. It's kind of good. And $99. And the watch band one will be out in the near future.
This is Cardia, the proactive approach to heart health. Cardia makes it easy to give yourself an accurate medical-grade electrocardiogram anywhere, so you can track and analyze your heart health without a trip to the doctor.
That one's not approved yet.
Use Cardia Band with your Apple Watch. Select the Cardia app on the home screen. Open the app and tap here to record an EKG. Place your thumb on the electrode, and if you're experiencing any symptoms, say them loud as the clock comes down from 30.
It records what's happening right then.
All the time and having mild palpitations. When you're finished, you can save your results, cancel, or play your voice memo back to make sure you cover everything you want to tell your doctor. And that's it. You just gave yourself a medical grade EKG. Cardia is just as easy to use on your smartphone or tablet. Here's how Cardia Mobile works. Open the app.
So this can stick to the back of the phone, or just like this.
Describe any symptoms you're experiencing in a voice memo. I've been drinking more coffee than usual, and I think I'm having palpitations. If heart rhythm is normal, you'll know right away. And if atrial fibrillation is detected, your EKG can be shared with your doctor immediately. When the journal appears, you'll see your EKG and analysis results. From here, you can play your voice memo back, review and edit your EKG, or send your recording to your doctor. Use Cardia with the Cardia app to collect and share important data with your doctor, easily and securely. It's a proactive new approach to heart health, and a breakthrough in personal medical technology.
Like everything Apple, your stuff it's yours. You can keep it as private as you want, as the FBI found out. And they can, or you can share it with your doctor if you choose to. And I was going to look here. I think, yeah, mine were all normal, but I thought there was, so I think you can even submit it to them, but at least you can submit it to your doctor. Now remember, this has FDA approval, so it's got to do a pretty good job. And it's just these two sensors. Again, there's going to be one soon on a watch band, but you just hold your fingers up to this. It's kind of temperamental, so you actually have to hold it hard because it has to get a consistent reading for 30 seconds. If you move a little or something, it times out on that, but I've gotten good at it now. I just hold it harder than I thought I would, and it just senses it. So it's from AliveCore, and it's Cardia, K-A-R-D-I-A, and of course the app for the iPhone is free.
Do you have to analyze your own?
No, it'll tell you if it's normal or if it has abnormalities. Mine so far have been normal, which is saying something for me.
What kind of device does your doctor have to have?
Just a second.
I thought you said $99.
$99. The app, though. So the device is $99. The app is free. And I don't know how much the one is going to be for the Apple Watch band because it's actually going to be a band itself. So, Brad?
What kind of device does your doctor have to have?
Nothing.
Email.
Yeah.
It's email.
Yeah. Or you could print it out and carry it in. But yeah. All right. All right. So I'm wearing my Apple thing now. You've seen the AliveCore. I have to presto change you for a minute here. Now I've gone from Apple evangelist to Tesla evangelist. So this week was pretty exciting. Actually, not just for those of us that are current Tesla owners, but for a lot of people. This was the Apple iPhone moment for Tesla. It's right now the latest count is over 200,000 reservations. People putting down $1,000 for reservations for a car they were sure not to get until at least late 2017 and probably into 2018. You have to think about that for a minute. So actually there was one great picture online where there's a Tesla showroom right next to a Apple store. And remember the same day the new iPhone and the new iPad were released, and there was a line at the Apple store and there was a line at the Tesla store. And the problem for me would have been, which line do I get in? You know? So I'm glad I wasn't faced with that dilemma because I didn't need the new phone. But it was pretty interesting. So I'm not getting this video up for some reason. But anyway, there's a Tesla store up in Rockland, and we have a local Tesla owners group, and we went as volunteers to help do line control, answer questions, and things like that. And we were anticipating 100, maybe 200 people at that store. So this all happened. And by the way, they were originally going to start taking orders on April 1st, which in this day of the internet probably isn't the best thing to roll out a new car and somebody thinks it's an April Fool's joke. So they actually, you could sign up in the store at 10 a.m. on March 31st. And my little story about it is, I took my Tesla up with 4 other people. We went skiing at North Star. So I pulled into the North Star parking lot. Our skis are up on the rack and everything, and there's a $40 preferred parking, and then one row and there's free parking there, and you get on a bus and everything. But one row closer to the village from the $40 preferred parking is permit parking and 2 Tesla chargers. So I pull in there, my car backs itself automatically right up into the spot, and I plug it in and I park for free. And we're going up, we put our skis on, and I'm up skiing, and I'm monitoring on my iPhone to see how many miles I'm gaining while I'm skiing, and my car's charging while I'm skiing. It's the easiest thing it could be. And so, you know, while I was skiing, I gained over 120 miles of range, and no harm, no foul. But if I hadn't have done that, there's still chargers up in Truckee, and no problem. And I'll tell you, our internet has just gone to heck here.
How long did it take you to get that charge?
Huh?
How long did it take to get the full charge?
I didn't need a full charge.
Well, whatever you
So when I'm driving, like if I go to LA, I can stop at places along the way. So I pull in, and in 30 minutes I gain 170 miles. So it's 3 times as long as it takes to put gas in the car. But remember, today, yesterday, day before, except for the day I went skiing, I don't ever have to stop and charge, or I don't ever have to stop to go to a gas station. I'm banking time. I simply pull my car into my garage, plug it into the 220 outlet, simple dryer outlet, and it charges overnight for me. So it's called range anxiety, and I thought it was going to be a big deal, and it's not. It's amazing. It's just really easy. Go ahead.
What is the range of, and what is the charging time? The charging time is overnight, and then the range of the car is per charge.
Every day I leave my house, I get 250 miles of range.
Okay.
But when I charge it at my house, when I do it at my house, it's it charges. It takes 5-6 hours, but I don't always drain it all the way. I drive an average of 100 to 120 miles. I drive my car a lot. My car it'll be 2 months old tomorrow. A year and a month old tomorrow, and I have 32,000 miles on it. So I've driven a lot, and I've had to supercharge it at maybe 10 times. I go to Yosemite, I go to San Jose all the time, and that charging is always free. And at my house, I don't have solar on my roof yet. I will within the next couple months. But I'm on PG&E, most of you are on SMUD. On SMUD, if you drive 100 miles, it'll cost you about $2 to $2.50 of electricity to go 100 miles. So it's really reasonable. Go ahead.
On PG&E, you get a special rate because
Yeah, an EV rate. It's just so my rate after 11 p.m. is down a bit more than other people's, but my peak is a little higher. But I don't charge during the peak. But it's actually going to be an advantage with solar, because with solar I sell it back at peak rate when it's doing it. So I'll actually have an advantage having the EV rate on there.
what is that PG&E rate for kilowatt?
After off peak,
After off-peak?
depending on the time of year, it's 10 cents or 11 cents.
Wow.
And you can get down to 6 cents on SMUD with a special EV rate. So in SMUD, they'll put in a separate meter for you, and you'll get 6 cents. So solar doesn't pencil that well in SMUD. Go ahead. I'm getting hot. I got to take this off.
We took delivery of a Tesla last May, and we took it back to Rochester, Minnesota. And all superchargers, all the way except one place.
There's 3 ways across the country, and then what you do is most hotels have charging, and this is just Tesla charging. There's public charging all over the place. And would you buy the same car again?
We're going to get next.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've never heard a Tesla owner that wouldn't buy another one. And I had really high expectations. and it's exceeded every one of them.
In Sioux Falls, there is no Tesla supercharger. There's
Yeah.
75 miles one direction, 75 the other direction. But I went into the Nissan dealer and talked
Yeah.
to a salesman, and there he introduced me to the sales manager. He says, we only charge our Nissans at night. He says, you can come in here and leave it all day long if you want. On the peak night.
And if you have other cars, they're stuck with only being able to charge at those dealers or slow chargers other places. So the Tesla success is all the infrastructure. I'll show that in a second. There was another question over here.
This may be leading right into it. What's the difference between a Tesla charger like if you go to, let's say, Red Hawk, where they have a little charger for the electric car?
How fast it charges is the difference.
That's-
And I can use those. Just for fun, I went to Red Hawk and I plugged in, and while I'm gambling, but I only gained a bit. I can't believe, range anxiety would be there if that's the only charging choices I had. So I can equate a story, because it's a big decision to get the car, and I really research things a lot. What a surprise! And I was listening to a tech journalist that's a podcaster. And he had gone to Google, and he was with Google PR, and he's just doing information about the Google campus. And they went into the parking lot, and the guy says, you guys, we allow our employees to charge for free. So they're going along, and you see a Chevy Volt and a plug-in Prius and a Nissan Leaf, and the tech journalist was a little perplexed and said, well, I heard that a lot of Googlers drive Teslas, but there's none of them here. He says, oh, they just never have to plug them in. And that's really the truth. When you have over 200 miles of range, it becomes a non-issue. It's the equivalent of if you had a 5-gallon gas tank in your car, you'd worry where the next gas station is. If you have a 20-gallon gas tank in your car, you don't worry so much. And actually, when I'm done with this little video, I'll show you where the charging stations are. But this is all leading up to the Model 3. So we thought that we knew this was coming, and it's been Tesla's game plan to go all the way along to get a car for the masses, for the consumers. And that's what this led up to. And it's pretty amazing. This is a little 4-minute video. It just kind of clips everything together. He's the designer. He's incredible.
We are here tonight to talk about Model
And there were no leaks. There were no leaks of this car anywhere.
Mr. Elon Musk. Welcome everyone to the Model 3 unveil. But I want to start talking.
So this is just clips.
Talk about why are we doing this? Why is Tesla? Why does Tesla exist? Why are we making electric cars? We have record high CO2 levels. Combustion cars emit toxic gases.
I don't know this. Sorry, I don't really see.
Toxic gas. That's obviously bad for your health. To address this, what we came up with for Tesla was what we called the secret master plan. But it needed to
Online, it does. The full one has it.
As a tiny company with very few resources, actually make a difference. So step one was the Roadster.
2008.
You could make a compelling electric car. You could make a great electric car. And a lot of people said, well, the Roadster is nice, but it's sort of a toy and it's very expensive. So we said, okay, we're going to make the Model S.
Which is what he and I both have. Mine's down there.
About half the market wants a sedan and about half the market wants an SUV. So we thought, well, we'll expand the Model S platform into the Model X. Both of these are very important because the revenue from the Model S and the X is what's needed to develop the Model 3. So I just want to take all of you who support an S or an X, thank you for helping make the Model 3. That's the master plan with steps 2 and 2.5. And now going to the Model 3. First of all, I want to start off by saying...
We thought they would only have a drawing of the car down there.
Not just be 5-star average, be 5-star in every category.
Safest car ever tested.
Model 3 will do 0 to 60 miles an hour or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in less than 6 seconds. At Tesla, we don't make slow cars. And of course, there will be versions of the Model 3 that go much faster. The rate will be at least an EPA rating of 215 miles.
And that's conservative now. They think it'll be better.
We hope to exceed them. It will also,
And that's with a small battery. You can get a bigger one.
And all autopilot safety features will be present in every car. You won't need to buy an option.
I'll talk about this in a second, but autopilot hardware, and we'll talk about that.
Autopilot safety features will always be there. The Model 3 also fits 5 adults comfortably. The challenge, obviously, with building a smaller car is how do you still make it comfortable on the people side. There are two important design steps we did with the Model 3 to achieve that. One was to move the instrument panel firewall. There really isn't a firewall. We don't have a big combustion engine in front. That would gives you the leg room to have 5 adults. The rear roof area is actually one continuous pane of glass. Just like the Model S, it has front and rear fronts. All Model 3s will come with supercharging standard. We were not at the point where we built out over 3,600.
Those are all locations of the chargers.
By the end of next year, we will double the number of superchargers and quadruple the number of destination chargers. So where we are today with Teslas, we've got 215 locations. By the end of next year, we expect to more than double that to 441 locations. Now, how are we going to make these cars? Our Fremont factory in the past has actually made almost 500,000 cars a year. So we're confident that Tesla can achieve that number in the future in terms of vehicle production. And then what about factories? In order to produce 500,000 cars a year, we basically need to absorb the entire world's lithium-ion production. That's why we are building a bigger factory.
This building's huge, and that's 1/9 of the entire building. This is one module, and they will add modules to it. This is up in Sparks. This building will, it's when the stage 1, the one you see here is built, it's the largest footprint of any building in the world.
To give you the sense of scale, the Gigafactory will actually have the largest footprint of any building of any kind. So when are deliveries? Well, they're next year. And then in terms of price, well, of course, it'll be $35,000.
$35,000 with some other caveats I'll give you in a minute, which are all good.
I'll be able to buy a better car for $35,000 or even close, even if you get no option. All right, let's bring them out. I just saw that the total number of orders for the Model 3 in the past 24 hours has now passed 115,000. So
that was at 9 p.m. 2 nights ago, and they're up to just about 250,000, 250,000 now.
You can order Tesla.com. Thank you. Well,
so
we don't have it for you tonight.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
So we kind of, there's a bunch of forums, and everybody speculated that, they're going to just see a show of the car. Maybe there'll be a clay model of the car. They actually took the 600 people in attendance, a lot of them owners that got into a lottery to try to go down there. That's why everybody's clapping us, because they're all owners. They've drunk the Kool-Aid. But they are the journalists too, and the journalists were there, and they did test drives. They had about 20 cars they were test driving with people. It is so close to being able to be in production right now. The only thing that's holding it up is they still have other cars they need to produce in Fremont that are already paid for, because there's a backlog of them. But they're waiting for the big Gigafactory in Reno to go online, because the battery is a huge part of the cost of the car, and that will significantly reduce the cost of the batteries. The batteries are what's expensive in the car. So the car at $35,000 will have the same hardware configuration as mine does. It drives itself on the highways. It has collision avoidance. If a car pulls out in front of me, it'll stop automatically. And I think in the year and a half when this car comes out, it will have the capability. It won't be up there by software yet, but I think it will have the hardware built in to do full autonomous driving. Because Elon thinks that within 3 years we'll have autonomous driving. And autonomous driving is great for people of our demographic, because by the time I lose my driver's license because I'm too old, I want to have an autonomous driving car. So it's really exciting. And remember, so let's call it 200,000 orders just for safety's sake. I think about 60% of those will be real orders where people will have waited the time and do it. And then when it comes down to it, and then about only half of those orders will go outside. They sell about half their cars in the rest of the world, about half in the US. It's the fastest selling car in Norway right now, because they have very expensive gas over there, and they also have huge disincentives to buy gas cars that they put on them. It's the price of a 3 Series BMW. But the amazing thing is that the federal government offers a $7,500 tax credit. It's not a rebate. So in other words, you have to have some sort of, it'll go against any tax liability you have for the year. And what it'll do is it offsets that. And that's to the first 200,000 cars that are delivered in the US. Right now, they've delivered about 60 or 70,000 cars in the US. So probably within the first year of production of the Model 3, that will sunset. It'll go down from 7,500, it'll get cut in half for a half a year, and then it'll get cut in another half, and then it goes away, unless they extend it. And the state of California currently gives you a $2,500 rebate for an electric car. But the best thing is, I never buy gas. The car has zero maintenance. When you pick up the car, they say, just make sure you keep the washer fluid filled. And that's it. And it's amazing. The drivetrain and the battery have an 8-year unlimited mileage warranty. So, and they're a very Apple-like company. And this thing was amazing. It was handled with no glitches. So I was number 7 in line, and the guy that was first in line got there the day before at 8:45 in the morning. And we ended up having, when the doors opened at 10, there were over 500 people in line. So one of the ladies did a little trivia quiz she printed out 80 copies of this trivia quiz, and we were kind of going, you think it'll be enough? And well, it might be, and then all of a sudden the line grew. Over 700 people went through that day, and it was 1,000 reservations. And the line was gone by 3:30. It was handled very, very well and quickly and amazing, and that's before anyone had seen the car, because the car wasn't introduced until later that night at 8:30 p.m. And the amazing thing is, Elon Musk never starts on time. They started on time, and that to me was the maturity of what's going on here. And it really is changing things. And I didn't get the car because I'm green. That's the least of my considerations. I'm a car guy and a tech guy, and my car gets software updates. And when it does, it increases performance. When my car left the factory, it couldn't drive itself. It has software updates and lets it drive itself in highway conditions. When I went to North Star, I probably drove it 15% of the time is all. And it's very relaxing.
Yeah, I know about it's how it feels and how it drives, so how do you describe
You can test drive the current cars, but read the reports, and as it gets, so first of all, your $1,000 deposit is completely refundable up until the day you commit to purchase the car. So all you're risking is all that interest that your $1,000 would have got in the bank over that time. So and you're buying a place in line. But if that's a concern of yours, wait till it comes out, and you'll just wait a little longer, and that's fine. I ordered my car a year ago Christmas, and I had test drove it. In fact, I wait to test drive it. I knew I wanted the car, but I waited to test drive it until I was ready to commit. I committed to my car. I went at home, my Christmas present, I'm on my iMac, and I configured my car, and I ordered my car by giving them a $2,500 deposit on my credit card, and boom, I hit it, and I got my car March 3rd so it's a little over a year old right now. So, and it's just, they stand behind the car dramatically, but if you worry about entry and exit and things like that, yeah, there's nothing like going and seeing it. And they will do that eventually, but you'll be behind the curve. There's people right now on the Model X, the SUV, that had reserved it 4 years ago, and are just getting their car now. So, and when's the last time you ever saw a line at a car dealership? And there are no Tesla dealers. They're all owned by Tesla. And the other part of it is, the service bay in most car dealerships is a profit center. They make no money selling you the car. They make it all in the back room. The back room at Tesla is designed to be cash flow even. They are not trying to make money off you in the back. And it's amazing. I priced a tire because I hit a big piece of metal in the road that 4 of us hit and did wheels. And I'm on the side of the road waiting for the Tesla tow truck to bring me a loaner tire to put on and have me go that was free. They just came and did it. And I was on the internet checking tire prices. Tire Rack in Reno, which is one of the cheapest in the country, was $60 more on the tire than if I bought it direct from the dealership. And when's the last time the dealership had a good deal? So over here, huh? Rockland. You can go to Tesla.com and sign up for a test drive. It's more fun than Disneyland. There's the performance of this car. So my car goes 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. Okay, 691 horsepower out of 2 motors that are the size of watermelons. There's one moving part in the motor, which is the stator. They actually think the motors are good for 1 million miles. And a typical internal combustion car has about 800 parts in the engine. So there's a lot that can go wrong. But the acceleration on this, there are 7 cars in the world that accelerate faster, and none of those cars is under $1 million. So it's amazing. It gets out of its way pretty well.
2 questions. I typically buy a vehicle like a Honda because I want to get $200,000 miles plus. Maintain my car. So the questions are, what does a battery replacement cost, and what have other Tesla owners told you about the car's reliability?
Okay, there's only a few that have really high mileage right now, and you can get a warranty that covers it up to 100,000 miles. That's per bumper to bumper. So it's covered from the factory. It's covered for 4 years, 50,000 miles. For $4,000, you can add it to it, another amount. And remember, that's the electronics and everything. But there's the longest range one I know is there's a guy with 160,000 miles, and he's lost 6% of his range in his battery. So if you calculate that out, he won't need to replace that battery for quite a while because he's down, 6% in range. It's hardly anything. And battery technology will change. It's not like the batteries just die. And remember, if the batteries degrade, we all know that from our phones and our laptops, but they're lithium-ion batteries. And the amazing thing is there's 7,000 of these little batteries underneath the car. So if one fails, it doesn't screw up the whole system. But secondly, the computers constantly are monitoring that battery. So the wear has not been at all, even on the hybrids, the Prius hybrids, the battery is lasting much longer than anybody ever anticipated. And lithium can be recycled. They'll take those batteries back. That's going to be part of the gigafactory. They can get all the chemicals and stuff out of it and put them back into new batteries, and the batteries are as fresh as ever. But what will happen with these old batteries is they might become home charging or home energy use batteries, which will help mitigate your peaks on your home electricity. So battery replacement was a consideration. It's not cheap, but you won't need to. And remember, the battery is warranted for 8 years unlimited mileage. Not from wearing out, but come on, 160,000 miles, 6%, maybe 8% at the most, degradation. You can live with that. It's if the battery fails, they replace it, no charge. Unlimited mileage warranty. So, Jim?
Going back to the tires, have you noticed any difference in the wear on your tires? Is there a special tire?
No. They have different tires, different models. There's the Model S, because it's really weird because there's 21-inch tires, which are high performance. They're softer rubber, and they've had a tendency to wear out faster, and they're not good with potholes. I got the 19-inch ones, which have a little higher sidewall. But there were some guys wearing their tires out in 7,000 miles, but what they don't realize is when you can accelerate 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, your tires aren't spinning, but the rubber is almost peeling right off the tire without them spinning. So, I mean, that's what's happening. And I had one guy, when I went to a Tesla event before I bought it, and we're looking at the preview of the Model X and talking to him, just teasing jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm asking him, he says, God, the car is fantastic, but God, I went through a set of rear tires in 7,000 miles. I go, really? And he goes, yeah, when you're getting on freeway arm ramps, when you just get on it, you don't realize it, because they don't spin or smoke or anything, but they're gripping. I mean, and it's great in the snow. It has incredible grip. So you back up. My tires, I had my winter tires put on at 25,000 miles, and my tires that came off had 2/16 of a wear is all it wore. So it's pretty long. It's nothing special. It's just tires. But your brakes last 100,000 miles. Because when you slow down, you take your foot off the accelerator, and it regenerates, just like the hybrids, back into it. So I only have to put my brake on if I'm going to a regular intersection. When I get to about 4 miles an hour, I have to put the brake on, because it regenerates me down to that, and it's putting energy back in the battery. So, and by the way, the brake pads are covered in the service. So
Ken, is there a separate battery to start it?
Yeah, there's a 12-volt battery in the car.
Like the regular
Yeah, because all your accessories and stuff, they didn't have to re-engineer that. So it's, and the battery's underneath the car, and it's the safest car the Highway Safety Administration ever tested. It gets 5-star rating in every single test. It kind of screwed up in one, which I'll talk about in a sec, but basically, other cars might get 5-star rating, but it exceeded every car that was tested in every category. And there's one test where it crushes the car to see how the roof strength is, and it broke the machine. It was so sturdy, it broke the machine. So it's pretty amazing. Anyway, any other quick questions on that? Cardia, we'll start getting into search and everything here. Let me get... so you can go to Tesla.com if you want to put $1,000 down, and you can get in line. You'll be number 200 and something. But again, probably half of those. Oh, and the best part is if you live on the West Coast, once they do the reservation, or once they do once your order goes in, you get priority because they want to deliver them sooner since they're out here and they don't have to ship them across the country. All righty, let's go to... Oh, while we're on it real quick, I'm just going to show you some shots of it. It's an amazing looking car. That glass along the whole roof. And I have a panorama roof on mine, and I thought the summers would be bad. It's not. But I can actually grab my phone and turn the air conditioner on my car from my phone. Same car, just different colors. 5 people fit in the car. Now you notice the nose is a little strange because there's no grill. Because there's no motor to keep cool. That roof is pretty amazing. Anyway, let's go to the subject at hand. If that's for me, I'm not here. All right. This is about Safari, but first it's about search, because search is really critical. And again, I'll have this recording up. Let me make sure that it's still working after everything we did. Yes, it's still recording. So there are some ways to use Google search to your benefit. Don't use Bing, don't use Yahoo. You can use DuckDuckGo, it's quite good. But use Google, it's the best search there is. Man, I'm lost. They don't have my clock on the back. So when we get about a little bit past 10, somebody give me a little 10:10 or so, give me a heads up in case I miss it. So I'm going to go through some top hits on things you can do to make your searches more effective. The first one is, if you want to get the exact phrase, you put it in quote marks. By putting in quote marks, it says, like for instance, Ken Spencer. It usually knows names pretty well. Let's say, let's do this. If we search for apple and we search for pie, we might get pies and we might get apple. But if we put quotes around apple pie, it will only give us results for what's within those quotes, apple pie. Okay? Let's say it's a name you're looking for, Joe Smith, let's say. But if you know the middle initial, and you can put Joe C. Smith, and in quotes, it will only look for Joe C. Smiths. So quotes are very, very good because it will look for just the phrase within the quotes. Okay? Any questions? Go ahead.
The caution on that is you have to then know if you put Joe C. period Smith or Joe C. Smith, or if it's Joe, Charles Smith, it's not going to.
Yeah, you can put some modifiers in it, but yeah, you would search both ways. Yeah. But the whole idea is there's so many Joe Smiths, you need to filter it down a little bit. So.
But within the quotes, you have to be exact.
That's why it's within quotes.
Yeah.
That's why it says exact phrase. So you could do Joe Blogs minus jeans. So again, we did the quotes to get Joe Blogs, but take away any results that have the word jeans in them. So you can think of some examples. You could do Joe C. Smith without Mary. So because you know that Mary isn't his wife and somebody else or something. I mean, actually, you can find out if he's got a mistress, maybe. But anyway, that is really pretty good because it will exclude those from the list. So you could do apple pie, in quotes, minus Granny. So you don't have Granny Smith apple. If you don't like Granny Smith apples and you don't want apple pie recipes with Granny Smith, that would be the way to do it. You wouldn't have to put Granny Smith, just put Granny, because you know that's going to exclude the Smiths.
The minus isn't in the quotes.
No, it's outside the quotes. So this is essentially think of this like it's always like an equation. So go find me Joe Blogs, and once you find it, take away anything that has the word jeans in it. So either or, and this is good. So you could do, let's say it's Bill Smith or William Smith. So you could do both of those. The or means include these things in the result. So Alex Hearn or Hernandez, like, because Hearn might be a shortened version. Or if you know that it's Hearn, but maybe they spell Hernandez with an S on the end or something, would be a way to do that. So either or terms or searches can work out pretty well. So they're inclusive rather than exclusive. The last one was exclusive. Synonym search. So plumbing with the name university, and that little tilde means use that as a synonym. So it would be plumbing college, plumbing university, or a synonym for whatever word comes after the tilde. Okay, that is a tilde, right? Okay. Next one is with search within a site, and I use this a lot. My favorite site to refer people to find out about Mac stuff or anything Apple is imore.com. So you don't even have to do it this way. I'll tell you how to do it in a sec, but the old thing is if I want to search for selfie stick within theguardian.com, you were reading something, you know it was at theguardian.com, and you say, well, go just search theguardian.com for selfie stick. What I do is I would put selfie stick, or I would say iPad 9.7 inch, and I type in imore.com, and that will give me results from imore.com first. And it searches pretty well within it. And believe it or not, that's how the best thing, like if you ever try to go get a printer driver at HP, their website is just a ball of mess, and their search doesn't work at all, and Google will go find what you need in the HP site if you do that. So it's not like they have many printers that are with lots of weird numbers or anything. So search within a site, and again, you don't have to say site equals. If you just want it to search within that site, you can do it, but you can simply just remember to go. In fact, when I'm prepping for classes and stuff, Safari tips and tricks, imore.com, and then it comes up with most of the imore ones, because they're just the best place. We've had Serenity Caldwell and Renee Ritchie from there talk at the general meetings, and it's just a wonderful site. The power of an asterisk. It's a wild card. So it's like the Joker in the deck, okay? If you put an asterisk, it's gonna say, make this be a wild card for what's there, okay? Just like the blank tile in Scrabble, I like that description in there, so. Search for architect with an asterisk would cover architectural, architects, architecting, if there's such a word, so you can use the wild card as all you want. It tries to do it if it can for you. Searching between values, I found this interesting. When I was doing the research for this, I found this, and that was pretty amazing. Prime Minister, and then you put a date range in, and it comes up with the Prime Minister. And this was a Guardian UK article, is why I did a Prime Minister. You can do the same thing with presidents, etc. But it's pretty amazing that it finds it. Kind of along the lines of when we had Hound up earlier, when we said look for hotels that have certain things, we could say Prime Ministers between 1920 and 1950, and Hound would have found that for you. So it's just 2 periods and then a space. Okay. Oh, sorry.
You said 2?
It's 2 periods and a space. ... And then the... Okay, got it? And then search for related sites. So in other words, let's say it's macworld.com if you're looking for Mac sites, or car sites like Jalopalink, which is a car site. you could put in related, and it would show you other places that do the same kind of thing on sites like that. It could be steakhouses, or let's say Outback, let's say, and it would find you other, it either find you other restaurants or other steakhouses more than likely. So related colon, and then whatever it is you want to relate it to. A lot of times what Google will try to do is, let's say we're searching for a Chevy Volt, and we put Chevy Volt in there. And the ads will come up and be pretty close to it, and you'll find all Chevy Volt. But what makes Google so successful is it blocks the Ford dealer from trying to get his information in there when you're not searching for a Ford. So if you're putting in Chevy Volt, what keeps Google, the algorithm they use, which keeps them very pertinent, and why we continue to use them, is they're constantly making it so people can't game the system. If you're going to look for a Apple Watch, you don't want the results to be some Android device. So it does that so nobody can game it. But this is a way you can get related things. Okay? So this in your Safari, in your preferences, not where this is. You want to go over here to search in your Safari preferences. Make sure it's on Google. It will be by default. Don't do Yahoo and Bing. Yahoo actually uses Bing, and Bing is Microsoft search, and it's just, they don't do a good job keeping it pertinent. DuckDuckGo is a very good search engine, and DuckDuckGo is one that won't snoop and see where you've been. Google leaves kind of breadcrumbs where you are, which can be beneficial. I have no problem with Google, and I just keep mine on Google. But if you're a little concerned about that, you can do DuckDuckGo. And Google is much more secure than everybody seems to tout and think that it is. It's very, very good. So on to Safari. All right, any questions on the searches there? That'll be on the video. So we're gonna go to Safari. So first and foremost, Safari is a browser. It allows you to browse the internet. And there's other ways to browse the internet. You can use Google Chrome, which would be your second choice, and Firefox would be your third choice. I recommend having Google Chrome downloaded in there if you need it, and if you have to go to a site that has Flash, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you can do it. But you should use Safari. Safari is the most compatible, the fastest, the best browser on a Mac, bar none. And the beauty of it is, as you'll see with some of the things I'm going to do, it ties in with all your other stuff. In other words, you can send email from it and things like that. There's no reason not to use Safari, and it's the same browser you use on your iOS devices. So many of the things I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you the versions of iOS versus macOS on them. So the first and foremost thing we want to talk about is, oh, and I didn't pull this up, let's see. Safari scam adware. So I'm going to go get an image and how many have seen something like this? Or something similar saying, your computer is messing up the internet. You need to call Apple at this number. It's
it was a Mac messing with PC data.
What's that?
It says PC data in the next paragraph, which makes it stupid.
Well, I know, but it also says mac-online-support.com, which really looks like an Apple address, doesn't it? Yeah. These are scams. They're playing on your fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the FUD. Okay? It's the same call you get that says, your computer is about to bring down the internet. We're calling from Microsoft. We need to fix that. If you ever get that call, don't tell them you have a Mac. This is not the time to be proud and say my Mac can't get infected. Just say, I don't have a computer. Because otherwise, if you say, well, I have a Mac, then they'll say, well, okay, and they hang up. But then their buddy Sam, who's at the place right next to him in India, calls back, and he's the Mac expert, and he'll find a way to tell you some things like that your Mac is really infected. I could bring up a screen that makes you think that there's a lot wrong with your Mac. And I could go to the Apple Store and take a brand new one, and you could bring a screen up and make it look like that. Never, ever let anyone into your computer unless it's me and we're doing a screen share. Apple also does screen shares. That's the other thing is if you have a problem, I've had people, they have a problem with their Gmail. And they call up and say, Ken, I Googled it and I called these people for Gmail support. And they got in and now everything's messed up. There is no phone Gmail support. You Googled it, or even HP. If you just go to the website of who it is and find out what their contact information is. Because if you Google it, somebody may be paying for an ad. And this is where you don't want to use Yahoo and Bing because sometimes they'll have stuff up there that's nefarious. And you'll get somebody that's really not from that company. And they're just trying to harvest your credit card. That's all this is. There'll be a ransomware thing pop up. We're going to lock up your computer if you don't do this. And you call this number all worried about it, and then they get in and they scare you, and they just want, and they say, well, you know what, for 99 bucks, we'll clear all those problems out for you. And then they'll call back later and then keep calling. If you ever get that, if you do let them in your computer, just let me know afterwards. Best thing, just restart your computer and you're fine. Secondly, don't give them your credit card. And if you did give them your credit card, call your credit card company right away and get the charges reversed. It's a scam. They're really trying to pull wool over your eyes. Has anybody here had that wants to admit to it? Good, because I'm looking around because I've helped a few of you. So generally speaking, when this happens, you quit Safari if you can. Sometimes these pop-ups are persistent because next time you fire up Safari, it tries to go to the last page you were on. The key to it is, if you restart your computer and it's still an issue, it's nothing wrong, it's just a persistent pop-up. Somehow they get it in there. If you hold down the Shift key when you start Safari, it will likely go to a new page and you'll have that and it'll be done. When I call you and tell you that on the phone, I seem like I'm a hero, but now you know the secret. So hold the Shift key when you start Safari and that should work. Worst comes to worst, we have to unhook it from the internet, go in and reset some things and go from there. But you will occasionally get one that's really, really, really persistent because you clicked on something and you may have downloaded a program and didn't realize it and installed it, and it's trying to make ads go up on your computer. If you go to Adware Medic, and these are in, probably every 3 months I put this in the newsletter so you can go find it. It's no longer, adwaremedic.com, ADWAREMEDIC.com. That's no longer the name of it, but it's the only one I can remember. Because if I go there, it's really malwarebytes.com. And you just go click here and get free download. And this program will run, and it'll find out if you have something persistent there that can't hurt your computer, but may be causing some pop-ups or what we call adware. What happens is many websites will pop up, and they get credit for somebody looking at that website. They're getting ad dollars from it, and that's all it is. But this is something you can have, and you can run it anytime you want. And it doesn't run in the background. It'll just be in your applications folder. It's totally free, and you can go ahead and run it whenever you'd like. Adwaremedic.com. Okay, so now we're going to go into some of the Safari things. So the first thing is, and this is where they sometimes put stuff in there, if we go up to the word Safari and come down to Preferences, and we go over here to Extensions, I have no extensions. I don't want any extensions. Many of you may have one in there called Ad Block. And it sounds great because it's going to block all the ads. Well, it really is adware, so delete it. The only thing you should have in extensions is if you use 1Password or a DVD type thing. But if you have something in extensions, do a screenshot of the screen or not call me, but email me and say, well, what is this? Do I need it? And you don't need most extensions at all. Okay, again, like I said, 1Password would be the exception. We're going to go through the preference bar here. So this is up at Safari. We come down to Preferences. So if we go to the General tab, this is where also when you get a little of these weird things that do stuff to your computer, it may change your home page for you. You don't realize it. You want your home page to be like Google News or Google or Apple Start Page, which is the default, something like that. Don't have it be Yahoo, please, unless you don't want your computer to be fast, because Google or Yahoo's homepage is so full of garbage that it slows your computer down dramatically. Go ahead.
Do this slower, because it keeps putting me on Bing from Google.
That won't be on the homepage. That'll be in something else. For your homepage, it's Bing. That means that you had some you better run the AdWare thing, because they change it, because they're getting ad clicks out of it. So run AdWare Medic, and it'll change this homepage. It'll be something weird. It might be Bing, but we'll talk about search in a second. So there you can just have all this set. Keep most of the settings and just go ahead and put in google.com or whatever you want. Tabs we won't worry about. Autofill. Now, there's two ends of the spectrum. There's security and there's comfort. If you really want security, go down to Richard. And Richard, you know, he works for the state, and a lot of it was PCs and things like that, so you can understand where that's coming from, and I don't blame him, but just ask him if he practices what he preaches. But here's the idea. You can be super secure, or you can be super convenient. And where you choose to be on there is your choice. I choose to let it save all passwords and usernames for me. And because you guys call me when you have password issues, who do I call? So I let it remember all my passwords for me. So, got somebody to get?
No.
Oh, okay.
Continue.
Thank you.
I'm invisible.
Hey, so am I. I don't think we're selling that.
No, both of us together could really tip your car.
Yeah.
We both sat on the same bumper.
The convenience end of it, though, to me, I let it save the passwords. And here's the deal. If you let it save your passwords, and you have your computer syncs with your iPhone and your iPad, those same passwords autofill in those devices for you. And let's say you go and change a password somewhere, it'll ask you, you've updated your password, do you want me to save the new password? And it will. And when I come over and you tell me that you're having trouble getting into a site or something like that, I can go in and find out what your password is for you. But I cannot find any of that information out unless we have the login password on your computer. So I equate password storage and the keychain to, let's say you own an apartment complex, and it's, 38 units. Forget master keys, but each one has its own unique key. Well, down in the office, down inside the manager's office, there's a little box on the wall, and that box has a key to every apartment. But only the manager has a key to that box. So the janitor can't just come in and go in and traipse in and get the key to any apartment and start ripping stuff off. They have to go get the manager and get the manager's key to open that box. It's the same thing here. When you save your passwords, your keys from every site you visit, each one's unique, and it saves that password in there. And then if we ever need to go in and get it and read it and see it, we go in here. In fact, I'll show you. So we'll go to passwords is the next one. If I want to see what password could we do that I don't care about here, that I will divulge, I'm not at Allstate anymore. So there I click that, and it says show passwords from selected website. I click that, and it says, oh, we got to go get the manager. Go get the manager and get the manager's key. So this is now, I want the password that I use to log into my computer. And then look at this. It shows me that password. So, you have a login to your password, and if you forget it, I can reset the login I can get into your computer and reset the login. I have to physically be there and do stuff like that. But I can never get into your passwords if you forget that login. You have to start a whole new password chain. So that's like saying that we might change managers, but you still got to go get the manager's key. And if the manager took the key with them, forget it. That box you can't get into anymore. We have to start a whole new box of keys. Okay? Keys are passwords. Go ahead.
So when you're visiting a site, can it?
I never go to websites. That's so last decade.
You don't, but some of us do. And then it asks if you want to save the password. Is that going to this area or is it going
Both.
So then the website gets it.
No. It goes to your keychain and goes into here to Safari. Safari and keychain, passwords in Safari and keychain are the same, but the website already has your password. So let's talk about, let's give Amazon's a good example. So if I go into Amazon, so it autofills my password, but for some reason I decide I need to change my Amazon password. I can't just go here and change it. That's the equivalent of just going to the store and buying any old key and trying to put it in your lock. Doesn't work that way. But if I go to Amazon and log into my account with my existing password, I can then go change, or if I forgot my password and I have to do a reset, I go and create a new password. Then it usually says, do you want to update your password? And if it doesn't, you immediately log back out of Amazon, log back in with your new password while it's top of your mind, and then it'll say, do you want to update or change your password in the keychain, and it will remember the new password, because otherwise, if you say no, it's going to keep trying to autofill your old password, and you only see the dots, so you don't know what's going on. It's all screwed up, you know. So password management is the tough, and there is tough, but there's other programs that do it. But I use Apple's, and I love it. It's iCloud, and it syncs across all my devices, and that's the reason you should use Safari. He was asking me why Safari over Chrome. Chrome stores passwords too, and it can store in your Google account. But I like my passwords where I have them, and only I can get them. So,
How do you print that list?
You can take a screenshot.
How do I do that?
I don't want you to print mine. A screenshot is there's an app and utilities called Grab, and it'll take a screenshot, and it saves it as an image, and you can do that. But don't go in and change your password here, whatever you do, because you let the computer do that when you go to sites. But remember, your password first, the locksmith has to come to your house and change the locks, and then you have the new key that gets stored. And then your other devices have to get that new key, and they get that by the keychain syncing on the cloud, okay? All this revolves around the cloud, and it makes it very simple. There was a question over here? Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's, we'll end it. Go ahead, Mary.
I was just going to say on the computer, the screenshot is Command-Shift-4.
Command-Shift-4 saves it to the desktop, and that'll do it as an image. But the little app called Grab will do it for you.
Yeah, and then you select here.
Yeah.